Joe Manchin ran to Fox News after the election to assure them that no change is coming to America. He told them that he's definitely against eliminating the filibuster. He said he's definitely against expanding the Supreme Court, which, again, would mean it's a 6-3 conservative court, which means the only change we get is change that they allow. And they would say a lot of stuff is unconstitutional. That's basic progressive change, basic positive change. So he said those things, and then he went on to say this.
I voted for Amy Coney Barrett for the 17th Circuit. I'm not going to break precedent. So if I can take that type of pressure, if I can vote for Brett Kavanaugh, the only Democrat, if I can take that type of pressure, you don't think that I can basically justify what I'm going to be doing and how I'm going to vote, knowing that I'm sitting in the seat that Robert C. Byrd held, who wrote the rules of the Senate? This is an institution that has to be protected. And you wouldn't become a Republican? You don't need, whether you're D or not, right. I'm a proud, moderate, conservative Democrat. Maybe there's not many of us left, but I can tell you this country wants a moderation. This country, you run your life, you run your business from the middle, not from the fringes. And that's where I've always been. So for something, whatever the message was, it was wrong for this many people to be split, for us not to be able to have a message that didn't scare the bejesus out of people. And when you're talking about basically Green New Deal and all this socialism, that's not who we are as a Democratic Party. It's not how I was raised in West Virginia. It's not the Democrats I know. But yet we've been tagged. If you have a D by your name, you must be for all the crazy stuff, and I'm not.
Don't you love it how Democrats completely agree with Republican framing on left-wing ideas? Don't you love that? This guy's a Democrat. By the way, I don't remember the exact number, so don't quote me on this, but I think it was 538. I think 538. Was it 538? Whatever. One of these websites has a counter of like how often people vote with Trump. If I'm not mistaken, Joe Manchin was over 50%, may have been over 60% of the time he votes with Donald Trump. West Virginia Democrat. And in his mind, he thinks the way that I show I'm a serious person is to be more corporate, be more pro-establishment, as if like West Virginia, the people in West Virginia only want their congresspeople and their senators and their politicians to be more corporate and more corrupt. No, I'm pretty sure that the West Virginia Democrats, I'm sure on social issues, they probably are conservative. They're probably pro-gun. They're probably anti-abortion. But on economic stuff, there's a rich labor history in West Virginia. They want hardcore lefties on economic stuff. Now, they might not realize that it's a left thing, but yes, labor unions and protecting the rights of workers, these are left ideas. These are social democratic ideas. So really, if Joe Manchin was representing the people of West Virginia, he would be probably conservative on social issues, anti-abortion, pro-gun, but he would be one of the furthest left on economic issues among the Democrats. He would be insanely pro-union. He would be pro-universal health care, Medicare for all. He'd be pro-free college and a living wage and things of that nature. Instead, he's just the one who agrees with Republicans the most. He brags. He says, oh, I voted for Amy Coney Barrett for a lower court. He didn't for the Supreme Court, thank God. But the reasoning he said was, oh, the process has been muddled. We've never done it with this little time left before the election. So in other words, he made McConnell, he stuck by the McConnell rule. Oh, in the last year before an election, you don't put a Supreme Court justice on. So that's why he did what he did. But he voted for Brett Kavanaugh. He voted for Neil Gorsuch. These are insanely conservative justices. He describes himself, I'm a moderate conservative Democrat. He goes, moderate conservative Democrat. And then he takes his shots at Green New Deal and socialism. This isn't who we are. This isn't the Democratic Party. I know. Green New Deal bad. Socialism bad. This fact I will keep repeating until I'm blue in the face and dead. FDR was our social democratic president. FDR got elected 4 times. He was so popular, the country couldn't stop electing him. He was so popular, Republicans came up with term limits to say, if we don't have term limits, we might never beat these guys. Because the American people love them, because they keep helping them. They keep doing good things. The New Deal is socialism. And this guy's, oh, there's no history of socialism in the Democratic Party. Green New Deal, gross. Remember that New Deal? Remember the New Deal and how wildly popular and successful it was? This is what we're trying to do with the Green New Deal. Not Tim running away from it at 1,000 miles an hour. And I love, again, the casual framing of the right. Oh, people think because you have a D by your name, you must be in favor of all these crazy things. Well, I'm not. What do they consider crazy things, man? And listen, this is where I'm a little different from others in that I do make a distinction between the social issue stuff and the economic stuff. I do think that running on something like defunding the police or abolishing ICE is not going to work. And I do have questions on the substance of that as well. Now, that's another conversation for another day, but point is, notice the trick. Notice what they've done. Not in this clip necessarily, but I've seen it in others where they lump in stuff like abolishing ICE and defunding the police, and they throw it in with Medicare for all, for example. They throw it in with free college. They throw it in with a living wage or a Green New Deal. And it's like, no, these are actually, they're not the same thing. And some of these things poll over 70%, over 80%. They're incredibly popular. But Manchin runs away from all of it. And just so everybody understands, the message he's sending right now is, under a Biden presidency, nothing will get done through the Senate. That's the message he's sending. He's telling Republicans, relax, I'm pretty much with you. Every now and then I might not be, but the overwhelming majority of the time, I'm with you. So this means that whatever good Joe Biden gets done, and it's questionable just how much good he even wants to get done, because ideologically, he's not with me. He's a moderate Republican ideologically, to the left of Joe Manchin, but not crazy to the left of Joe Manchin. The most good he'll do is through executive orders. The most good he'll do is that path. I don't see much getting through the House. I don't see much getting through the Senate. Because this is Joe Manchin telling everybody, relax. Nothing will fundamentally change. That's the argument. He's making the Biden argument. Remember when Biden said that to a bunch of donors? Guys, relax. Nothing will fundamentally change. That's what he's doing here. That's exactly what he's saying here. Nothing's going to fundamentally change. Filibuster's going to stay intact. We're not adding seats to the court, so it's going to be 6-3 conservative. I voted for Brett Kavanaugh. I voted for Gorsuch. I'm a moderate. I'm a conservative. I'm against Green New Deal. I'm against socialism. When Republicans win, they get Republican policy implemented. When Democrats win, we get Republican policy implemented. And you wonder why the left is so frustrated. Especially knowing the history. Knowing that it wasn't always like this, guys. It was not. FDR got stuff done. Even LBJ got stuff done. They got stuff done. Now we have, these people rolling over in their graves. Because we've had the Bill Clinton era, the Barack Obama era, where it's half measures on top of the half measures, because these guys are also corrupt and corporate. And so they think triangulating is correct. And they substantively, they like triangulating. They like being moderate Republicans. So here we are. Now we have a moment in history where it's completely incompatible with corporatism and neoliberalism. Completely incompatible. We need fundamental, radical change in this country. We need universal health care. We need a jobs program and an infrastructure deal. We need a Green New Deal to fight back against climate change. We have so many crises happening right now. 30% of the country can't pay rent or mortgage. And soon they'll be able to be evicted, foreclosed on. And this is the kind of Democratic Party that we're looking at. The one that signals we're going to basically agree with the Republicans. Ever since the money got into the system, this is the way the Democratic Party functions. Ever since the late 1970s, early 1980s, with the Supreme Court decisions that ruled that money equals free speech, and now you have corruption all throughout the system. It used to be the Democrats really only took lawyer money and union money. And then they started taking corporate money after those decisions. And we haven't had a moment of relief since where you felt like the Democrats were actually fighting for you. Haven't had a moment of it. And it's a nightmare. And now you see Joe Manchin already waving the white flag, already signaling to Republicans, I kind of agree with you. That's the whole point of the segment, is to let Republicans know I'm on your side. I'll never get over the fact that the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, and the media all try to make us feel crazy simply for saying, let's catch up to the rest of the developed world and have everybody health care and give everybody health care and make it free at the point of service. They try to make you feel crazy for saying, I want a living wage, or I want universal health care, or I want a jobs program, or I want to end the wars. They try to make you feel crazy for that. You're not the crazy one. They're the crazy ones, and they're the corrupt ones. And eventually some action will be taken because we can't let this continue. At some point, people will get so fed up that we will have a general strike, and we will protest for all of those things that we know are the answers. For all of those basics that should be the case in a developed country. We should be a thriving social democracy. Eventually, the population is going to snap and say no more. And we'll fight back, because this status quo is certainly unsustainable.